Jannik Sinner at last leaves as the winner against Carlos Alcaraz. The world number one denied the Spaniard an SW19 three-peat, winning the final of Wimbledon 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, 6-4 to become the first Italian man to reign at the All England Club. I'll break down what went down in this final, share some of the insightful quotes from both guys, and talk about some of the top storylines to take away from this result. Hello, my name is Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Quote, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post new content. Delving into the match, Sinner, he got first blood. He broke at 2-all, and he was aggressive, the more aggressive of the two to start off the match, and he really was using that backhand down the line well. And he did have a 4-2 lead, but credit to Carlos, he was not going to go away at all, and he ended up winning the final four games of the first set in a row to take it. Here, that variety factor with Carlos definitely shone through. He employed some fake drop shots and chips, and also employed some real drop shots that really got Sinner out of sorts, and the ball striking from Carlos improved at this point. He started winning a lot more of those extended rallies as well, and I do think that Sinner's serve deserted him towards the end of the opening set, particularly in that final game. And we got to talk about that epic set point to finish it. Wow, what a point. That was probably the point of the match. Now, with these Alcaraz matches, whoever wins the first set, it's really not that much of a factor, and it didn't really matter at all, especially, of course, in this match and the result. Sinner broke right off the bat in the second set, and Alcaraz, he was definitely slow coming out of the gates of the second set, and it costed him. He double faulted to start, and that just was not a good omen for him, and it kind of foreshadowed his service struggles for the second through fourth sets. Jannik's serve, meanwhile, it only improved as the match progressed. Alcaraz, he did have a break back opportunity, but Jannik served himself out of trouble with just 3 high-quality first serves in a row. And Sinner, he increased his first serve in percentage by 12 percentage points in the second set compared to the first. He also upped his first serve points won by 12% comparing first set to second set as well. But the big shining star for Jannik was his second serve points won. That improved from 54% in the first set to 73% in the second set. Jannik's jammer second serve for sure gave Carlos fits, and Carlos just was not able to attack it at all and apply good pressure to Jannik. Meanwhile, Jannik, he took great advantage of Carlos' second serve. Alcaraz only managed to win 42% of his second serve points in that second set. And while Carlos, he did have some openings to maybe break back earlier on in the second set, Sinner was just too solid, and he took the second set. Now, the third set looked like it was going to be similar to the second set because Carlos, he was under pressure immediately. He faced 2 break points, but he was able to escape. And he was able to still scrap through most of the third set fine, despite holding a poor 42% in first serve percentage. And Alcaraz, though, that first serve percentage put him at a disadvantage. But Jannik just definitely outserved him in this third set. He shut Carlitos out in that third set and allowed 0 break points. And Sinner, he had 7 aces, hit his spots very well. And the way he served out that third set was quite something. Sinner also, his returning was phenomenal throughout this set, and it shone through in that one game where he did break in that third set at 4-all, just really getting the ball right back on Carlos deep and with pace, and Alcaraz just struggled to get the upper hand in the rallies. And Sinner, it was just like he was applying pressure immediately and immensely. Talking about the fourth set now, the lone break at 1-all, it just mainly came down to Sinner again picking off the Carlos serve so well. Sinner returned again exceptionally well. And I think that maybe Carlos should have hit more body serves like he did against Fritz. I think that could have been a great play against Sinner. He didn't do that enough in my opinion. But still, credit to Sinner. I think he was bold with the down the line shots, and he made life harder for Carlitos in that 1-all game. Alcaraz, he did have one opportunity to make this more of a match at 4-3 on Sinner's serve. He had 2 break points, and it looked like at this point, this was Carlitos' chance to really push back and make this even more of a match and maybe have a repeat of the Roland Garros final where he pushes it to 5 and ultimately wins. I do think that if he was able to win this game, he could be the winner of Wimbledon. That was such a crucial game. And Sinner, he hit a strong second serve to erase the first break point for Carlitos. And then on the second break point, Carlos, he ended up missing a forehand long after a pretty extended rally. I do think that Carlos, he had a solid opportunity to go backhand down the line in this point, which he did not take. And I feel like that shot, he didn't use it enough in this match. I think that a lot of times Sinner beat him to the punch up the line, and that could have been a great shot for Carlos to change directions. I do think that whenever he did go up the line, it wasn't really to attack. It was just more so to, change directions and change the dynamics. I think he should have used it as more of an attacking shot throughout this final. I just think that he didn't play it risky enough. He played a little bit too safe, and Sinner was the one who was the more risky of the two, and that's ultimately why he won the title, and credit to him too for serving it out pretty cleanly with no drama this time. Now, this final, especially compared to Roland Garros, was not as much about tactics, and it was more so about the serve and the return, and whoever excelled more in those departments would win, and Jannik definitely excelled in those departments more than Carlitos, which is why he won. And Carlos, he did reveal in his post-match press conference that he was nervous, and he said that that was a contributor to why he wasn't serving as strong in this final. And I do think that, on the other hand, Jannik wasn't as nervous. He was more so fueled by revenge and trying to redeem himself after that heartbreaking Roland Garros final. I said that Sinner's return in my preview could be a big factor, and it definitely was. And as predicted, Carlitos was not able to execute the serve and volley as much as he did against Fritz in that semifinal, considering how Sinner is just a much better returner. And also the variety factor, too, wasn't as strong with Carlitos. And some of it was he just did not execute his drop shots as well in the last 3 sets compared to the first set. Sinner, too, deserves credit because Jannik, he made life harder for Carlitos with his sound ball striking, and Jannik definitely was the aggressor in this match. You can see from the Wimbledon stats, Jannik, he attacked 33% of the time compared to Carlos 20%, and he also ventured in more. Sinner, he was very successful at the net. He came in 40 times and won 75% of those points whenever he came in. I was also really impressed by Jannik's lateral movement in this match. Even when Carlos pulled him wide with an angle forehand, Jannik made a good shot off of it oftentimes, and oftentimes he made the shot instead of missing it. And I feel like that's crazy to see him improve that much on that aspect compared to Roland Garros, where he was definitely a little bit more vulnerable in that department. And that goes to show that Jannik, he definitely still can move pretty well on the grass. Carlos, I think he gave a good analysis of this match. He said, at some points, I didn't know what I had to do in the match because from the baseline, I was feeling like he was better than me and I couldn't do anything about it. I think the big key was about the second serve. He was returning my second serves really well. Thanks to that, he was in the position to attack the second ball every time. So it was really difficult when you were feeling that you were just defending all the time and running from side to side all the time, but I didn't feel down physically. Sinner wasn't as technical with his analysis. He said that just it came down to more so of luck and margins. The Italian said, the differences are very small and the margins are very tiny. Today I felt like I got lucky a couple of times, hitting some lines. The things that went his way in Paris went my way this time. The margins are so small. It felt like in the beginning we both were not serving well. We both struggled to return the second serve. Then I found a good rhythm on the first serve, especially in the second and third sets. In the fourth set, I had some moments where I served very well and then again struggled. But this is normal because if you play 2, 3, 4 hours, you cannot play always in the same way. I kind of had a feeling that Jannik would win. I kind of felt it deep in my heart. And I did pick him to win Wimbledon before this tournament started over Alcaraz. So giving myself a pat on the back for that. Now, I did ultimately pick Alcaraz to win in my final preview. And again, while I was more feeling so Jannik in my heart of hearts, I ultimately changed my mind and went with Carlitos because of the possible X factor of that elbow or arm issue becoming an issue for Jannik in this final, even though he did say that he didn't expect it to be one. Like, you never know. One wrong move could cause a re-aggravation of that problem. But it wasn't an issue, and Jannik won. Speaking of injuries, I have seen online multiple people have said that there should be an asterisk next to this title for Jannik because, of course, of that fourth round injury that Grigor Dimitrov suffered, that pectoral muscle injury he suffered while he was leading Sinner by 2 sets to love, and it was 2-all in the third set. And honestly, I gotta call a spade because I know that some of my supporters hold this same sentiment. I feel like the people who hold this sentiment of this should be an asterisk next to Sinner because of this title are Sinner haters. Like, that's what it is. People, y'all already didn't like Jannik to begin with, so you're looking for something else to kind of, take away from the win. That's all it is. We gotta call a spade. There is a chance that Jannik still could have come back and won the match. It wasn't looking great for him, but there's a chance that Grigor might have felt the moment, and Jannik, he could have come back in that match despite, the issue. And it definitely did seem like the Sinner injury, it was a bit of a factor, not taking anything away from how well Grigor played. I don't know if I'd have to say if Grigor would have ended up winning or not. Maybe I side with Grigor if he was healthy, but again, if it doesn't exist, word to Rafa Nadal. And it's also not like Jannik was down 4-1 in the third set. Again, it was 2-all, and it's just something that we'll never know. It'll be a big if. So, I mean, my heart definitely goes out to Grigor. I feel like he was watching on the rehab facility, definitely a little bit salty, as he should, because he very well could have won this entire title. Now, I don't know if he would have won. I think that Shelton or Alcaraz could have definitely taken him out. I don't think that Novak, with how off he was with his movement, would have done much, but maybe, I don't know. I just really feel for him. Definitely feel for him even more now that Sinner went on to win the title. But back to Jannik, he still had to win all the other 3 matches, and he beat 3 high-quality opponents, Shelton, Djokovic, and Alcaraz, even though Novak was definitely compromised. But him dethroning the current king of SW19 in 4 sets, definitely validates his title win for me, for sure. Talking about Carlos, I think that Alcaraz should be extremely proud of himself for even making it this far, considering how things looked bleak for him and on day 1 in the first round, where, you know, he was tested against Fabio Fognini, being pushed to 5 sets. But him even reaching this final is really something special, and it goes to show just how well he excels on the natural surfaces, because, like, that's a lot of tennis that he's played the last few months. Him winning Rome, winning Roland Garros, including that epic final, hopping back not even 2 weeks later, winning Queens, playing some like grueling matches there, and then riding on a 24-match win streak, the longest of his career. He showed a lot in this win streak too, that like he can handle his business and he can be clutch. I mean, we all know he's shown clutch abilities like throughout his career before this, but I've been impressed, particularly from that semifinal against Fritz, where he could have let it go to 5 sets, but he shut it down in 4 sets. Like, big ups to Carlos Alcaraz for his run to this final. He should be very proud of himself. And even though he did not get the 3-peat this time, I think that he can in the future. There's always a chance that he can. He still is 22 years old, but he's got a big test ahead of him, but he's got a big threat in Jannik Sinner that could definitely make that harder for him. So I don't know. Now, Alcaraz's loss, of course, means that his unbeaten slam final record of it was 5-0 coming into this final was now snapped, and he was trying to match the women's champ Iga Swiatek of going 6-0. And Alcaraz, he barely loses in big finals, and it was honestly kind of odd for me to watch him lose and hold the runner-up trophy, especially since like we haven't watched him lose, period, in a long time, since Barcelona against Holger Rune. And even in that match, Carlos wasn't 100%, so yeah, it was weird to witness. The last time he lost in a big final was the Olympics against Novak Djokovic, and we all know that Carlos went through somewhat of a rough patch after that. You know, he didn't have the best results, and he was asked about that in the press conference of whether he felt like he would be able to better manage this tough loss, and he said, "It's a different feeling, to be honest. Last year in the Olympics, I was really bad emotionally after the match. It was really hard for me to accept that moment. I think in the last year, I've been through different situations that I've learned from. I just accept everything that is coming to me in the way that it comes. Like, okay, I just lost a final in a Grand Slam, but I'm just really proud about being in a final. I'm smiling because in my head, it was about playing the final and being grateful for that." So yeah, those are great positive signs you want to hear if you're an Alcaraz fan. So don't expect too much of a slump from him. I do think that some of that slump from last year, yeah, it definitely was due to the emotional, disappointment of losing in the Olympic finals. But some of it also was that we were heading into a period where Alcaraz wasn't as comfortable on the hard courts. Like, yes, Alcaraz is still a great hard court player, but this is really his domain, the natural surfaces. Anywho, talking about our victor, Jannik Sinner, like, man, words cannot describe how impressed I am. What a way to recover from so much adversity. First, the whole doping saga, him being able to win back-to-back slams, the US Open and then the Australian Open, and then also coming back so strong from that whole 4-month suspension and making both the Rome and Roland Garros finals. And then two, of course, recovering from that heartbreaking Roland Garros final. That's the type of result that can kind of like cause players to never recover from. Word to Daniil Medvedev. For him to win the immediate next slam, that goes to show just how mentally tough Jannik Sinner is. Like, he truly is a force, and he's a generational talent. And really, if it weren't for those match point misses, 1 point away, Jannik literally could be 1 point away from the Sinner slam of winning all 4 slams in a row. And Like it really could have been one point away from him doing the calendar slam. I actually would bet on him completing the calendar slam before he retires. But reining things in a little bit more, Sinner will now eye the career slam. His next opportunity of completing that, of winning all 4 majors, period, is Roland Garros 2025, and he can definitely do that, as again he was 1 point away from winning Roland Garros this year. But I think that with this win in particular, he proves that still he is the best right now. I also think that for sure this title shows that Jannik can rival Carlos for the new King of Grass title. I think it's really only going to be between those two for now. Novak, I'm sorry, buddy, but I don't know if I see him winning another Wimbledon title. But I think that for this to be Jannik's second slam win over Carlos, both his slam wins over Alcaraz have come at Wimbledon. So, and I knew that Jannik could win Wimbledon. When I predicted him to win Wimbledon, people were calling me crazy and was like, oh, he's not ready. He's not this, he's not that. I'm like, no, he definitely is ready, especially from the 2022 Wimbledon where he was up 2-0 over Novak. Like, of course, Jannik can dominate on the grass as well. And he may have been ready to win last year if it weren't for that illness he suffered and that ultimate loss to Dino Medvedev in the quarterfinals. Looking at things from at a wider scope, I think that this summer really told us a lot, at least so far, these last few slams. It showed that right now, Carlos is definitely more comfortable and is just better on the natural surfaces compared to hard court, and I think that it will always be that way. But Jannik, the scary part is that despite this, he's right there neck and neck with Carlitos on the natural surfaces, and the margins are so thin. And he won Wimbledon. Again, he was so close to winning Roland Garros as well. And I feel like Jannik, he's more close to Carlos. I still give Carlos the edge on the natural surfaces, but Jannik and Carlos, they're like right here. 51% Carlos, 49% Alcaraz. On the hard courts, it's more of a wider disparity. I feel like it's more like 56% Sinner, 44% Alcaraz. Like, it's a little bit more of a discrepancy, and that's good, definitely better for Jannik. But I am so intrigued to see how Carlitos comes out for the North American swing, because again, he hasn't done his best since winning the U.S. Open during this stretch, so we'll see if he can do something here and maybe win the U.S. Open for a second time. But it's going to be so tough against Jannik. He will be, for sure, Sinner will be more favored on the hard courts. And I also think that we could have witnessed a dynamic shift in the matchup between Jannik and Carlos, because now, Carlos, he had the momentum, mental edge too, in winning all those matches in a row over Jannik, and now that Jannik has kind of like reversed it and got the monkey off his back, will we see another change in tide and have Jannik run a string of like wins against Carlos? We definitely could. It was like that before, I feel. And Jannik, he commented on the importance of turning the tide as well in his post-match press conference. He said, "It is important for sure, because when you lose several times against someone, it's not easy. But in the same time, in the past, I felt like I was very close. In Beijing, it was 7-6 in the third. Then in Rome, I had a set point in the first set, but I couldn't use it. Then, in Paris, what happened. But I felt close. I never pushed myself down. I keep looking up to Carlos, because even today, I felt like he was doing a couple of things better than I did. So that's something where we will work on and prepare ourselves, because he's going to come for us again. There's not only Carlos, but everyone. We have a big target on us, so we have to be prepared. Then we see what's happening in the future." Sinner is right, of course. There's been a big target on Carlos and Jannik for like a year now, but they haven't been able to like take their aim and get them at all in these slams. They've won the last 7 slams now, so I don't know. And I did hear some complaints from people saying that the Sinner Alcaraz final is already getting old and tired, and I understand that, because literally the last 3 big finals we've had, it's been them, and I feel like ultimately it might get old. Like we need more variety. It can't just be 2 guys in the finals of every single thing. I feel like eventually the majority might get tired of it, regardless of how well they might play against each other. We just need more big faces at the pinnacle, at the top of the sport. Simple as that. And talking about who can rival them, I don't think they're going to win the next 7 slams, to be honest. It definitely could happen, but I feel like at least one other person will come in and win one. Novak, he's a big threat, of course. But talking more about like who will rival them for the next years to come, I think Ben Shelton, he can. I know some of y'all might laugh at that, but Shelton, he's proven himself for the past couple of years that he's a big slam player, big occasion player. So I feel like at this point, he's almost guaranteed to go deep at a major, and it's about him making those little tiny adjustments to get over the hump and actually like beat Alcaraz or Sinner. Jack Draper, I don't know about Jack. He still has a lot more work to do, but we'll see. Taylor Fritz, I think he's closer than Draper is. Definitely with what he showed against Alcaraz in that semifinal. I was very impressed. Holger Rune, he's got to actually make a slam semifinal for me to take him serious. Arthur Fils, somewhat of a similar story with Holger. He's got to prove himself at other levels, especially the Master 1000s and also too at the slams before we consider him a true threat and actually a true slam contender consistently. And also, he has some concerns with a chronic back issue. Maybe Jakob Menjik could do something. Joao Fonseca, I still think he needs a couple more years before he emerges as a big threat. Also, Flavio Cobolli, why not him? He definitely impressed me at Wimbledon. And if he can continue to rise and build more confidence building results, then maybe he could do a little something. You also got guys like Gabriel Diallo who are rising in the ranks. So I do think that, they're the crop of younger folks, they have a better shot compared to, the Zverevs and the Medvedevs and the Tsitsipas's of the world. But that is all I have for this men's final recap video. Again, full congratulations to Jannik, both Jannik and Carlos, but especially Jannik on this title. And let me know y'all's thoughts on the final. What would y'all rank it on a scale from 1 to 10? 1 being Swiatek Anisimova, 10 being Sinner Alcaraz Roland Garros final. I'd say 7, a cool 7. I think it definitely could have been better as far as the drama. It wasn't necessarily the best throughout, but the set points were definitely, the first 2 set points were for sure the highlight of the match. And also give me your thoughts on all the hot topics I discussed as far as, Alcaraz and their dominance and whether a player can threaten it, if so, which player, and also if you agree that Jannik right now is the best player right now. One point, I forgot to mention this, is that I mentioned in my Roland Garros finals recap video that even though Jannik obviously lost and he was down in the slam count, that I feel like he would end up with more slams than Carlitos. Obviously, these two have so many years ahead of them, but look back, definitely bookmark this video because I feel like that prediction might be coming true. But anywho, thank y'all so much for rocking with me throughout this entire tournament. I know my accent was really god-awful, but I appreciate the support and the gassing me up of that, so I appreciate that so much. And this isn't all. I still have my overarching Wimbledon recap video and also my Wimbledon best and worst dressed video, so definitely make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I drop those videos. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I'll see you all next time here on Christian's Court.